Hello, everyone. You are listening to Analyrical, where listeners interpret lyrics. Just come up with that now. What do you think?
Yeah, that's great. Sounded very casual, you know.
Nice, cool. Um, so I'm your host, and I've got a guest here who's brought us a song, which is
The song is "Head Rolls Off" by Frightened Rabbit.
okay.
Actually, it might be
Nice.
"Heads Rolls Off."
Yes, heads roll off.
Heads roll off. There we go. That's how well I know it. Eh?
Yeah, and it's not heads will roll. It's not that. It's heads roll off by Frightened Rabbit. Now, tell us about Frightened Rabbit.
Yes, right. So, yeah, I'll start. I'll tell you kind of what I think about them. So, and as far as I see it, they are an incredible band. As much as anything, because they deal with
Why are
some.
they
Why
incredible?
are they incredible? So they have some like really amazing, really rousing, quite upbeat songs, but more or less about some
Yeah,
incredibly heavy, serious topics, right? So what you get when you listen to them a lot of the time, particularly the album that my song today's from, is it's songs about depression, addiction, suicide, and but despite that, they're in a lot of cases they're quite hopeful, uplifting, kind of positive songs, right? So you get some
mm,
really heavy introspective listening, but also just like alongside it some really good tunes, but and just with some really complex kind of themes. Because like I said, it's heavy stuff, but in a lot of cases, not all, quite a positive sentiment to it. Um,
yeah, yeah.
and I
I
don't, yeah, go on.
just by the way, the album name Midnight Organ Fight apparently is a euphemism for sex.
Yeah.
Which at least somehow brings back sex into the episode, which is good because this one, my read is not sexual. I
Oh,
was
wow,
thinking about doing a
sluts.
sexual one. Yeah, I was thinking about doing a sexual one, and then I was coming up with something that was kind of like it was weak sauce, basically.
Yeah,
So I went back to my original read, which is a lot stronger.
that's fair enough.
Um,
Well, I mean, you could have picked
and apparently this is
a bunch of the other like
sorry.
I could have chosen like probably like six of the other like 10 or so songs on the album probably would have had a pretty strong sex train of thought to it because like I said the album the title is Midnight Organ
Yeah,
Fight, which is his euphemism for sex, right? and and that is a pretty consistent thread across the album, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Not actually, to be honest, on the song, less so on the song that I chose, but there is a pretty consistent theme around it.
and so this came out in 2009. Is that kind of what you were into at the time? Are you still listening to it now?
Um,
What was going on?
I actually missed uh, Frightened Rabbit for most of the time that they were operating. I probably didn't
Yeah.
listen to this. I mean, actually, I know exactly when I started. Actually, no, I can't remember. I was going to say it was during COVID, but that can't be true.
I
Um,
mean, I don't need exacts. You,
no,
you
no,
can
no,
lie
no,
to me if you
no, no,
like.
no. But so I must have started listening to it. It was probably only a couple of years before the lead singer passed away, um, because and that was maybe 8 years or so after this album came out. So that I must have been listening to it around 2015 or something, and so
Hmm.
I was late to the party. But I mean, this kind of stuff is right up my street of kind of very melancholic, but still quite like rocky or poppy or
Yeah, I was
punky
thinking that
kind
kind
of
of
stuff.
Frank Turner
Yeah.
vibes I was getting from it.
And he
Yeah.
was friends with Frank Turner. They were and Frank Turner's even got a song about Scott Hutchinson, who was the lead singer. Like a lot of people make reference or kind of particularly within the Scottish music industry, because I guess it's relatively small anyway. Um, uh, but yeah, he's definitely got that kind of like vibe that I like. So I listen to these guys a lot, but I wasn't listening to it when it came out. And yeah, as I said, I caught on a little too late. I maybe saw them once, probably the year or two before he passed away. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I guess coming coming
So,
coming back to I guess on that and kind of come back to what I think about about the artist, just some context there. So one of the reasons I like them so much is they write particularly honest, raw songs. Like the lyrics and the lyricism within, and this is one of the reasons I chose them. As far as for me, the this band has the best and the most impactful lyrics of any band I know. Um, and this album in particular is like,
That's a strong statement.
oh yeah. I mean, you need. Do you have? I don't know. You and I have never talked about them. You should definitely. I think you'd be really interested in this album. But yeah, this in particular, like, it feels like a journal of someone who's completely like spinning out, like dealing
Whoa,
with.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Oh, I can't go
whoa.
into this yet.
Okay, no, sorry. Are you going into the song
I'm
or
not
the
going into
album?
the song, the album, and the song is quite
Okay,
different.
fine,
Yeah,
fine, fine,
yeah.
fine,
So the the
fine,
the,
fine.
the,
Okay.
the album is very much someone, you know, dealing with a lot of mental health issues, dealing with a breakup, and kind of dealing with that with addiction, sex, drugs, alcohol. Like it feels like when you
Well,
listen to
this
it,
is
a
like
really
really in
heavy
line
concept
with.
album. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, this is very much in line with all the concepts that we've been talking about thus far,
Yeah, yeah,
which is great. So, before we go into what you think the song's about or
yeah,
anything, I'd like you to do a cold read of it.
yeah,
When I say cold, I don't actually mean cold. I do want it to have a bit of pizzazz to your performance, for the listener as well as for me,
yeah.
but more for me.
I'm
Nice,
going to struggle
cool.
with this. I'm going to struggle with this. All right, all right. I've not practiced this, so I will do this on the fly. Uh, all
Do it,
right,
do it, do it.
ready? All
Yeah,
right.
go, go.
Jesus is just a Spanish boy's name. How come one man got so much fame? To enemy, it's pointless to anyone. It doesn't have faith. Give me the cloth, I'll just wipe my face. When it's all gone, something carries on, and it's not morbid at all. It's just that nature's had enough of you. When my blood stops, someone else's will thaw. When my head rolls off, someone else's will turn. And when I'm alive, I'll make tiny changes to Earth. So you can burn me, because we'll all be the same way. Dirt in someone's eyes, cried down the drain. I believe in a house in the clouds, and God's got his dead friends round, and he's painted all the walls red just to remind them that they're all dead. And when it's all gone, something carries on. That's not morbid at all. It's just that nature's had enough of you. And when my blood stops, someone else's will thaw. When my head rolls off, someone else's will turn. So you can mark my words. I'll make changes to the earth. When I'm alive, I'll make tiny changes to the earth. Ta-da! And then repeat, repeat.
Tiny changes to Earth.
Tiny changes to
Tiny
earth. Tiny changes
changes
to earth.
to Earth. that was read really well, casually. Well done.
All right. Like
Well done.
it's hard when it's like a song and it's like lines. I kind of had to add a couple of
Yes,
words in
yes.
there to make it a bit more
Yeah, and I
conversational.
almost called you out for it and being like, "Hey, we're analyzing lyrics. You can't be like making up fucking lyrics, mate." We did,
Yeah,
but it's fine. It's fine. People get the idea anyway. So now, like, there is such an obvious meaning to the song, but please,
yeah,
I'm curious to hear your read of what I assume is the obvious read.
yeah. I expect so. Yeah,
Yeah.
because to me, right, this song is all about someone just rationalizing and life. Right, he's saying there is no big picture, there is no grand design or no broader purpose. We are all inconsequential and meaningless, but that's okay. It's a good thing. All best we can do is just take comfort in that inconsequentialness and just make little positive changes to the world that we can influence. That's my read on it. Right. Do you want me to
Yeah,
elucidate
yeah.
on that with some
Oh
more?
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll be going through the lyrics,
Yeah.
kind of not line by line per se, because I think we can get the gist of it. But yes, okay. So my sex read was, hey,
Yeah.
maybe this is the life cycle of a sperm when someone's masturbating or having a blowjob, and that was the kind of way I was going down. And I just want to say that Jesus is just. I really enjoyed just that one little. Just that one little thing of Jesus is
It's just
just. Yeah, it's great. I was like, well done him. Um, uh, but that's not the read I went for. What I actually went for was, I mean, you could kind of say it's definitely in the same vein as yours, but it's the life cycle of ideas and beliefs, and how like our insistence on individual interpretations keep them alive, but then gradually they die,
Mhm.
and things change, and everything just kind of changes or dies. But ideas. This is all
Yeah,
about ideas,
yeah,
not people.
yeah.
And that, so I kind of came up with that one, and then I started listening to, Walden. Have you ever heard of the book Walden?
Is that the one where he goes out into the no, the one he goes out into the
Yes,
wilderness?
yes,
Yeah, I
yeah,
have
yeah.
it. I've
He
never
goes
read
out
it.
into the wilderness, and anyway, so yeah, I started to listen to that, I um and I will find it when I find it. But there's this line in it, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is exactly what I'm talking about." But this is not it, and I can't find how to figure out where to get it from. So we'll just start going through the lines, I suppose. Would you like to start?
Yeah, yeah. All right. And so I guess the start, right? Jesus is just a Spanish boy's name, um, and that to me is just like such a like just his just generic dismissal of religion and just any kind of theism at all, you know. And I think the references in here are pretty much all about Catholicism, but I get the impression it's just religion in general is his beef or what he's kind of wiping off. He's just like
Yeah,
Jesus is just a Spanish boy's name.
I,
There's nothing more to it than that.
yeah, I was kind of going on the assumption that because he's clearly from the West,
Mm,
that he uses like Jesus, Christianity, um, as a way to illustrate those kind of broader points on belief systems in general.
yeah,
Um, and then just because he knows that Western context, and it's kind of safe, if he
yeah,
started like saying
yeah,
about like Muslimism, he'd probably get shot, right? So like, so yeah, I think it's just like in general, it's just for me, it's just a representation of uh, you know something that someone like has dogma about,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah. And the bit I really like the line as well at the end of the verse. So give me the cloth and I'll wipe my face. Which again is like, as I see it, the cloth is like, again like representation of Catholicism, like to take the cloth or whatever it is to go
Yeah,
and
yeah,
go to the church, right?
yeah.
And he's just like, you may see the cloth as the representation of religion. I see the cloth as just something to kind of something functional. Wipe my face with it, you know. So again, it's just like completely like belittling or just dismissing these kind of icons of religion. He's like, no, there's nothing to this. It is all just completely like functional and factual. It's a something to wipe your face with, and it's someone's name. There's no bigger thing to it.
You see, I was kind of looking at it more like, he's kind of mapped out, uh, or he's highlighted that people believe stuff, and he's like, why do people believe stuff, right?
Yeah,
And then he's like, but also people that don't believe the same thing, the enemy.
mm,
Um, it's pointless to try and get them to believe the same thing that you believe
yeah,
in. It's almost like you give them the cloth and they'll just wipe their face,
yeah.
or you give them the cloth and they'll oh, this is a funny read from my sperm one, was give me the cloth and the face, well, that's on your head, so
I know when there's even when I was listening to it recently and knowing that you would might come at it with a sexual interpretation. It's always just like lyrics throughout that I'm like, oh god, roll my eyes. Like,
yeah.
how are you gonna change this? Give me the cloth and I'll wipe my face. I'm like, oh god.
I know exactly where that's good.
That that
But yeah,
that line to enemy, it's pointless to anybody. That's one line that's funny. I'd always, and I've seen some. I don't know what the official like lyric book says or whatever. I've seen some websites say it's to any me. Another one, as in like to anyone, to any me, any you.
Hmm.
Other ones say
Yeah.
to enemy, as in your enemy, your foe. I think yeah, to enemy probably makes more sense. Like you say, the point is if it, to the person who doesn't believe in it, to your opponent, all those value systems that you have are kind of pointless, right? They are, like you say, they are your own ideas and beliefs, and aren't represented or shared by anyone else, and kind of pointless to anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you say that to enemy makes more sense, but I think to any me
Yeah, maybe.
like makes more sense.
It's just the phrase "any
Just
me" makes
from
no
like,
sense.
yeah, yeah, but he's using it in line with anybody.
Yeah,
So he's like, so he's kind of made up a word, but also it's a word that you can clearly understand the meaning of.
yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
which I do a lot. I like doing it.
Maybe it's a
So
deliberate because it sounds like enemy, and it sounds like you said, or it could be
yeah.
any me. Hmm. Wow, maybe he was actually smart guy.
When it's all gone, something carries on, and it's not morbid at all. Just when nature had enough of you. I must say that this song has been stuck in my head ever since I started listening to it.
Yeah.
Um, I always get it all like mixed up and stuff, but I mean, again, it's almost too clear. Although I was having more of a death thing going on, and you have a more kind of existential. There's no point of it all, like
Well,
thing.
and when I say there's no, I don't know, point, I guess I mean there's no bigger purpose, right? There is no kind of there's no Jesus, there's no wider kind of picture. And I guess I don't mean that there's no point, because I think actually kind of like I say, the kind of whole idea of, well, I'm going to be totally committed to making the little impact that I can, and that'll be my purpose. So I think he's got a purpose. It's just that it's not one of grand design and kind of
Hmm.
meaning. It's something much smaller and something much more kind of yeah, just more subtle and small rather than some big picture.
So, when it's all gone, something carries on.
Yeah.
Is that morbid?
Well, exactly. Like I think this is the thing is, and he's almost like reassuring, right? And he says it's not morbid at all. It's like the next lyric. He's trying to, because I think some people, I guess, particularly from a coming at this from the religious angle, it's almost like so many people I believe get into embrace religion because of that fear of death, because they want there to be something that happens afterwards. And it's almost like that acknowledgement of it all ending when you die is, is why a lot of people would turn to religion. And he's kind of saying, when it's all gone, yes, there is no wider religious kind of afterlife and wider meaning, but something carries on, something small, right? And he's saying, and that's okay.
I don't know if it's an afterlife thing. You know, for me, it's that whole thing of like, oh, I gotta leave a legacy, man. And I've gotta like, you know, you work really hard in this world, right? And you kind of think when you die that like, it would have meant something to someone,
Hmm,
But I mean, like, I don't know if you've ever like worked in a job for like years and years, and like really kind of felt like you were integral to this job,
hmm,
and then you leave, and then I don't know, you come back for like drinks or something, and everything's fine.
yeah,
Like nothing has actually like fallen down because you've left,
yeah,
and everyone just gets on with their life, and all those close friends that you have are fine with you just
yeah,
not being there anymore.
yeah,
Um, and that's kind of what death is like
yeah,
on a grander scale. Uh, it just all just carries on, and yet the hope is that you've actually created some profit for the company
well,
before you
well, I would see it.
kick the
I
bucket.
would see it. I would see it slightly differently. I mean, but you're right, kind of. And when he, I think when he says something carries on, he's not saying that something spiritual carries on. He does mean other people carry on other than you, right? And all you can do is impact those people. And so going back to your business kind of example, your company example, I think I would see it as maybe the impact or the hope is not that you've made some profit for the company, but you've left something behind that might still be there. So when you go back and you talk to your friends who are at the company that you left, they might well be like, yeah, nothing is, we're doing absolutely fine without you, but we still embrace that value that you left behind or your way of doing that thing. That's still part of how our business works, and that bit of software you wrote, that's still there, or that kind of maybe it's even just like we still talk about that time that you did this, right? So it's all those more like values or archetypical things
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
might
yeah. It's
stay.
ideas. It's
It's ideas. It's
ideas.
ideas. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And and
It's
that's what I
ideas.
see kind of. And then in the next part of the chorus, because when he, in terms of like something carries on, when he's saying like, when my blood stops, someone else's is going to thaw. When my head rolls off, someone else is going to turn. Like this whole thing of what carries on is other people, and it's like there is no bigger religious or spiritual purpose. There's just a chain of people who impact each other, and that's how you kind of leave some sort of legacy. Like you say, it's through the little bits of impact that you have that are still there when you've gone, but when you've gone.
Yeah. I mean, weirdly though, when I was like sketching out this idea, it didn't seem so what's the word? Uh it seemed depressing to me. This idea of ideas, take Christianity for example. I mean, how many times has that been tainted over the years? Personally, I
Yeah,
think the first big taint was when that Caesar guy decided to make it the religion of Rome. I think that was the first taint, but I mean that's for another time. Um, but uh, ideas get tainted over time, especially if you're not there to be like, no, no, that's not what I meant, mate. That's not
yeah,
what I meant. Like, oh, if Nietzsche could do that now, um, but he can't, and that's the depressing thing is that even if you did have like a lasting memory in a workplace, at some point it'll change so dramatically to what it was of you that it won't be yours anymore. It'll be the people's.
yeah,
Um, and so when my blood stops, uh, yeah, it's now someone else's.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I one thing I say I do find it as I say with a lot of their songs I find it really like I say it's a little somber, but it's also like really it's also quite uplifting and positive. So yeah, it is talking about, yeah, as you say, I'll die, I'll stop, someone else will take over. Like I say, they may well do it different, they may well change it. It is a kind of depressing thought, but it's kind of constantly reassuring as I see it. Kind of this song, and it's what I personally I listened a lot of the times when this song has like impacted me the most. It's been I don't know. I often see this, and maybe it's just the kind of stuff that you reflect on when someone passes away. That so often when someone close to me has passed away at a similar time, someone else has been born, right? And it kind of just I
Hmm.
often think about it at times of death that I'm like, yeah, there is a kind of circle of life. There is this kind of cycle going on, and that's something that when I'm listening to this song really hits me every time. This concept of when I stop, someone else is going to start, and I see that all the time in my family. When someone passes away, the new generation comes through,
Hmm.
and it is like it's almost a bit of comfort I take in that fact is that it is all okay. There is a poetic and a kind of cycle to it, and and you can't dwell on the people who've passed away, but you've got to be excited about the new ones coming through as well. And so, yeah, that's something that I find really kind of again a really somber topic, but with a really positive
Hmm.
tone to it.
Yeah. I mean, there was another read that I had on these lines of when my blood stops, someone else's will not.
Mm,
Um, if you think about ideas, right? Um, I tell you an idea like Santa Claus isn't real, right?
Mm,
And you're like, fuck you, man. I hate your guts. Get the fuck out of my house, right?
yeah.
Um, that's your blood stopping, right? But someone else is like, well, actually, I never really liked that Santa could always see what I was doing, and he knows when I'm awake. I don't like that shit. So I really like the idea that he's not real. Someone else's will thaw. When my head rolls off, so you're like, fuck off, get out of here. I'm off the rails. Someone else's will turn. Oh, I like the sound of that.
Ah, yeah, I like that.
So
That's
it,
interesting.
it it's like this idea of like there's always just a clash of ideas, and we're always just clashing ideas. Some will kind of make it through and others will not, and it's not morbid, it's just, nature, the natural thing of things. Ideas will just kind of become enough and die out.
Yeah.
But there is, while I'm alive, I'll make tiny changes to Earth. Is this kind of like I'm going to be just like everyone else, kind of dogmatic about my beliefs, being really loud about it, and hopefully someone will turn and hear what I have to say, and I'll change someone in that way.
Now, one of the things you talked about there is a lyric that I'm like has always kind of stuck caught me, and I've been like, oh, why is he choosing that phrasing when he says like, when my head rolls off, someone else's will turn. Like the phrase "someone else's will turn," like I say, that almost means, oh, that'll catch someone's attention, rather than this idea of, oh, someone else will be born.
Hmm.
That, which is how I always interpret the song. So that's interesting, the
Yeah.
idea of that it's not about death and birth; it's about um, emotion and catching attention. That's yeah, that's all right. That's a point to your idea argument.
Well, I mean, like it's quite hard to not have a point to yours because it is almost that, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I'm trying really hard here,
yeah.
but it does mean that when I move into the next kind of lines, so you can burn me because we're all the same way. Um, that's like, I'll say some sacrilege, and yeah, you're gonna burn me for it. But we're all really the same doing
Oh,
that.
I like
You're
that.
gonna you're gonna say some sacrilege to me, and I'm gonna burn you too. So like, we're essentially just uh, causing upsets uh, with each other, and we're all just gonna cry about it.
Yeah.
Like that's all that's gonna happen. Dirt in someone's eye, cried down the drain, and then this part is where I was like, I mean, but this is like this is God, and he's like created this imagery around it. Like,
Mm,
okay, now I'm imagining being up in heaven, and
yeah.
God's like, oh yeah, come into my house, yeah, yeah. And he's painted all the walls red to remind them all that. And so for you, what does this mean to me?
I
Because
I struggle
I've
with
I've
this
figured out what it meant in mine.
Okay, I
Yeah.
really struggle with this one. I'm gonna go back quickly just to the burn me bit, because
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like your idea that the whole idea of you can burn me is like, you can come after me, you can get annoyed with me, you can burn me, for my beliefs or whatever. I like that. That tracks. That's again, that's good
What did
justification.
you think?
So me, I mean, again, and I see this. So how I see this is, look, when I die, you can burn me. Like just you can. Oh, God, what's it
Okay.
called?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what's it even called?
Ashes and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wait, what's it?
Cremation.
Cremation, yeah,
Cremation.
God, yeah, yeah. He's like, when I
Yeah.
die, you might as well just cremate me. I don't need to be buried. I don't need a service. I don't need any of that stuff. It's all irrelevant, because at the end, we're all the same. We all just become like ashes. We all just dust, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Like by the end of the day, we'll just be kind of dirt. Like, and down in someone's eyes,
Hmm.
down the drain. Like, so, I think there's, yeah. Again, to me, this is just like, there's absolutely no broader picture. We're all just atoms and dust flying around the place, and then put against some nice imagery of someone crying. That's So that's how I see that bit. That is just, again, absolute no rationalization of life. There's no bigger purpose. You might as well just burn me. We're all the same, and it's all inconsequential anyway. Um, the bit.
There's
Oh yeah,
the
go on.
sorry, just on that particular line with the dirt in the eye. So I have this note that's like, when you challenge someone's belief, it irritates them, right? Dirt in the eye, it's irritating, and there's a physical reaction to remove that irritant, right? I'm
yeah,
going to cry it out, right? It's like an automatic rejection of ideas that
yeah,
conflict with your beliefs. Was my
yeah.
was my kind of thing for that one.
So this whole house in the clouds and God and stuff, and this has always caught me the most because I'm like, it seems so at odds to the rest of it in my interpretation. Because now he's saying, well, I do
Hmm.
believe in a house in the clouds. I do. He's starting to say, I do believe in all this stuff about God and everything. My only my only interpretation of this, or my only justification of this, is him. He's saying, right, I if there is a God, right, and I do believe, he's saying, so if there is a house in the clouds and God's got and God's got all his friends around, and again, and even in saying God's got all his dead friends around, again, he's being pretty belittling of the idea of. He's not describing it as some like amazing paradise. He's talking about it as just some like, he's making light of the concept of God, and then he's saying he's painted all the walls red to remind them what they're all dead. And part of me was thinking, well, maybe, he's saying, well, if there is a God, um, then he knows that there's no broader purpose. And the only thing that matters in life is to have lived and to have left something behind after you. And so even when you're in heaven or even when you're at God's house afterwards, he's still trying to remind them that they're dead because he's trying to remind them that the only wider purpose was that they were alive in the first place, and so he's constantly trying to remind them of the life that they had before, and that's what they should be reflecting on when they're dead, is what they've left behind and what they had,
Okay.
rather than that they're there in heaven having a great time and it's all paradise. That was
Yeah.
my stretch of like how I could justify this. Like, yeah, I don't get this bit, and I was so resistant to trying to look it up ahead of this.
so 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 with this kind of idea of like ideas and how people kind of force ideas onto people and how ideas kind of change, um for me this line was all about how he was like, even at the height of authority, give let's say God, like he's still just doing the same thing, rubbing his perspective in people's faces and like making people believe what he thinks they need to believe. He's still painting the walls red to remind everyone that they're dead, kind of thing. Like you are dead, like believe it. You're not allowed to believe anything else because he's painting the fucking walls red. And that's kind of what it is. He believes that like everyone's doing it, and that he's just really kind of hammering home that not like even celestial beings like have this problem of like trying to brainwash people to believe what they believe.
Mm.
Well, brainwash, I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean.
At least like
Like
constantly like
force beliefs down people's throats.
uh,
um
I thought you were about to go down like a whole communist thing there when you're like, even in the height of that, he was still trying to like reassure them that everything's red.
um while I'm alive, and then it kind of just repeats everything after that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then yeah, just
Yeah,
reinforces.
so despite despite knowing beliefs are temporary and arbitrary, he's still trying to advocate for uh for actually doing this, uh and slowly influencing people and slowly influencing the world uh through the sharing of ideas.
Hmm,
um because we can't stop ourselves, really. He can't say in one way that this is what everyone does, and then in the next say he's not doing it. So he doesn't do that. He says, I will make tiny changes to Earth by advocating for what I believe in.
yeah, and 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 I think yeah, my read is um yeah, despite the futility, well, not the yeah, despite the kind of inconsequentiality and lack of some meaning of life or anything like that, he still wants to go ahead and have the little impact he can, and he's excited about that. He's determined to do that,
Mm,
and he will. You can mark my words. I'm going to make little changes. I'm going to have those little impacts that I can, even if they are, you know, temporary and not permanent. I'll still have the little influence I can. That's all I can do.
And you think, or you feel good about this idea of the head rolling off and another one rolling on.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
I
I
find
don't
that
know
the
if
most like uplifting kind of, and again, it's a somber, bittersweet concept, right? Um, but that's like I find a lot of comfort in is this idea of it's constantly reiterating all anyone can do is make those little influences on people. You know, because I think in a world when you are a very logical or rational thinker who can't justify a big purpose of life or that some grand meaning, that's all you can take from it in my eyes. That the most logical and kind of the thing you can do is the most practical thing you can do is just have those little impacts.
yeah. I mean, I really like the tiny changes to Earth line. There's a lot of like nice little perspective turn of phrases in this. Is the only way I can describe it. Like the just nature has had enough of you. Like there's just it's just a nice way of framing that, like the perspective of death, right?
Yeah,
Um, not that it is of death; it's about ideas, but yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But also like just make tiny changes to Earth. I mean, I feel like he's made a bigger change to Earth, given that he's got what how many 256,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and they're all listening to the song
but then at the
or
same
songs of
time,
it
in the scheme of in the annals of history, that will be literally
in
a
the
fleck of dust.
annals of history.
Yeah, sorry, I should stick with the theme of the podcast. In the annals of history,
Yeah,
that will literally just be a speck of dust in someone's eye, right? Give it 1,000 years from now,
yeah, yeah,
no
no,
one will be listening to this, and everyone will have forgotten about the influence that he had, most likely, right? Um, but
yeah,
as you said, he
yeah,
was able to make ultimately a tiny little change, and you'd hope he was somewhat satisfied with that. Again, that's a whole other topic.
yeah. Just looked up the I've just looked up the song, and yeah, you're pretty much on point. The song is about finding meaning in mortality by accepting that life goes on without us and choosing to make small, compassionate changes while we are alive. Um, I like my ideas life cycle better, but
Yeah.
fine. I was like, I was reading, I was like, man, this guy's like astute.
Yeah, well, this is it. When after reflecting on it, I was like, I've probably chosen one of the less kind of poetic songs in terms of like, or you can interpret it a bunch of ways. It's pretty, you know, down the line for the most part. There's some other songs on the album that we maybe could have had a bit more of a robust debate or discussion about. You certainly could have got your sex talk in.
To be fair, I've been kind of perfecting or iterating on the format of the show a little bit. So when I first asked you, it was just pick a song, any song, we'll look at it, kind of thing, and it's kind of moved on from there. But next time, obviously, you can pick a song that has a bit more give, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
but but thank you for coming on, and thank you to everyone who listened. I still haven't figured out like a closing line. Do you want to try one out?
Oh, what on the fly?
Yeah,
Oh God, I'm not good with that.
this has been analytical, and you're listening to listeners.
Your intro was better.
Crap. I'll figure it out, guys. I promise. I promise. Thank you, and good night. Goodbye.